We're back. MJT Football here to talk about our frauds and for real no shit contenders in the NFL season right after week 7, right? We just had week 7, week 8. What fucking week was that, Tony?
Week 7.
It's going by way too quick, regardless
Yeah.
of the week, man. We're already almost halfway through the season. And I'm just going to go over some of these teams that are playoff teams as of today. And are they frauds, as in pretenders, or are they for reals? Are they contending for the conference title, not just the division title? Could these teams be Super Bowl bound come February? And we're just going to go over them, do rapid fire, and get our thoughts on each team. And by the way, you guys, just let us know in the comments what you think about each team. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, all of that jazz. All right, Tony, let's get straight into it, starting with the Dallas Cowboys. Frauds or for reals?
This is a frauds for me. This is I mean, based on your narrative, right? So like really it's four teams from NFC, AFC that are kind of in that like could be contending or whatever. And for me, I just think with the way the rest of the schedule lays out, I don't believe they're going to get a home playoff game, which means they'd have to win 2 road playoff games to be in that final 2. And I don't see that being the case for them, right? Like they're a really good football team. And if they're healthy at the right spots, obviously they have the pieces that can go. You know, you have a Super Bowl head coach who's had a lot of success in this league and a quarterback that people bag on way too much. But if all parts are equal and all teams are healthy, I like the 49ers better. I like the Eagles better. And I like the Lions better. I mean, that's already 3 right there. Then you got to contend with some of these other teams we're going to hear on the list.
If the playoffs ended today, Tony, and everyone tuned in, guess who the Dallas Cowboys will have to play in the first round?
I have no idea.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, cooked.
Congratulations to them. You get the same team that's beat you and eliminated you like the last 5 times you've had hope.
Yeah, and they'd be out there and they'd be like, Cowboys are heavy favorites. Trent Williams is gutting out a performance, and Deebo Samuel, he's got kinetic tape on his shoulder. Yeah. This is the Cowboys' year. And then it would end it horribly. Like, you know, McCarthy would call a timeout to help the 49ers kick a game-winning field goal. And they'd be like, what the fuck happened?
It's been some interesting finishes to the games. For sure. I'm going with frauds also. And you know me. I'm one that will back the Cowboys. I'll be the one person on the show to stand up and say, Dak Prescott is beautiful to me. I'll be the one to do it. But I just think they've been too inconsistent, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. There's been times where they've looked for reals this year, but it seems like it's been against lackluster opponents mostly. And when they see some beef or they've seen some good teams, it's not quite been as dominant. Even that game against the Chargers, like huge win for them. On the road, middle of the season against a tough Chargers team, I still believe with all of my heart, it just still wasn't like what you'd expect out of a team that you're looking at as a for real no shit Super Bowl contender. The Chargers made like 21 mistakes in that game.
Yeah, so they could just have to, if they improve in the red zone, I could change my opinion. But they're just not. They're not very good in the red zone.
Let's keep the train rolling here. The Cleveland Browns, Tony, frauds or for reals on a 2-game win streak right now with their backup quarterback?
I think the defense is for real. I know they just got a little Minshew magic sprinkled on them, but I do think the defense is for real. All of my questions are on the offensive side of the football. What's going on with the quarterback situation? If you're telling me they're going to go on a magical playoff run with PJ Walker, who I like, who I think is a backup quarterback in the NFL, like he should be. He's the kind of guy that you feel good with a week of prep. You can go in and compete in a game. If he's your starter for the rest of the season, well, you're paying that other guy $235 million or whatever. I just am not buying it. And it doesn't matter how much I love Myles Garrett. And I have predicted this guy to be the defensive player of the year like 4 times. Just give it to him this year. Like he's so deserving. Make it a lifetime achievement award, even if it's close at the end between him and TJ Watt.
My mouse just died, so I had to plug it in, but I'm with you. I'm on the same boat as you about the Cleveland Browns. I think they're frauds because of that offense. We're no longer in an era of football where defense can just flat out win you championships. Like, even if you look at some of the better defenses of the last, let's say, 10, 15 years, I have it marked down here. 2015 Broncos were a number one defense that won the Super Bowl. They had Peyton Manning and a loaded Denver offense. The 2013 Seahawks, the LOB as people know it, they had prime Marshawn Lynch on the other side of the ball. People forget about that. The 2010 Packers had the best defense in football and won the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, we know what they had on the offensive side of the ball. It's no longer a league where you can just win with the best defense in football. You need the best defense in football, and you need to be able to score points. And down Nick Chubb for the rest of the season. Now Jerome Ford is banged up as well. That will be their guy that I think could carry subpar QB play from either Deshaun Watson or PJ Walker or whoever the fuck ends up playing quarterback for this team down the stretch of the season. They're not contenders to win the AFC unless Watson is healthy, Watson plays, and he doesn't have to play like he did before. He doesn't have to be this crazy great quarterback. He just needs to be efficient, consistent, and just good, just solid.
His
That's
last
it.
start before the shoulder injury, he played well.
It was better. Yeah. Yeah. And then
who it was against, but he played well.
Has shoulder injury. He tried to play what? It was maybe 2 quarters of this last game. Wasn't going well. Didn't look healthy and was out again. So we'll see how that goes. But as of right now, I got the Browns as frauds because of the offense as well. They are going to be a team that's going to stack some wins just because of defense, though.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I had them at 9-8, and I feel like it's at 8-9, 9-8.
Right there. Yeah. We shall see. I mean, this Minshew game, it definitely puts some things into perspective on how quickly it could change. All right, let's go to their division rivals, Tony. Pittsburgh Steelers. Frauds or for reals?
This one's tough. When you sent this one to me, I was just like, this team. I thought
we were talking about the Browns being down Nick Chubb, talking about the Browns being down their quarterback or just struggling at the quarterback position. Like, the Steelers seem like they should have everything in place offensively, and it's not working still.
Yeah, and I think that's the same thing, that I want to be consistent, right? I want to say that if I said the Browns have struggles, which I think that the Steelers defense is also very good. Not quite on the same level as the Browns, but very good. And maybe, I don't know if Cam Hayward's coming back this year. I think he would be a huge lift for them in the second half of the year. But again, the offense. I just rewatched the Steelers-Rams game this morning, and the offense is just – it's anytime George Pickens is one-on-one, Kenny Pickett, I don't care what the play call is, whatever it is, alert. We're going to George Pickens. Okay. That's a sign you don't need to steal. Like, I know there's a lot of controversy going on in college football right now. You should steal whatever yards you can get and throw it. The back shoulder throw to Pickens is starting to have some better timing and looks a lot better. I'm going to go with frauds, but I don't feel great about saying
that. They're going to win enough games to keep Mike Tomlin's streak alive. At the very minimum, right?
They're going to win. I think they'll win 10 games.
Okay, there you go.
And they'll make the playoffs. Again, this is another one of those teams. If you're healthy,
we might have some magic there. Yeah, I have them as frauds as well. I don't have them contending in the AFC as of right now. These two numbers right here, Tony. Pittsburgh's offense right now has the 28th passing attack, the 29th rushing attack. I mean, that's pitiful, man. that's almost the worst offense in football right there. And they have so much talent. That's what doesn't make sense. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren could be a phenomenal 1-2 punch. They have the guys out wide with Deontay Johnson back, and the defense is there. Just got to put it all together on the offensive side of the ball. All right, here's an interesting one. Going back to the NFC, right now, your number 2 seeded Detroit Lions. Frauds or for reals, Tony?
For reals, this is a good football team. I think they can get aggressive at the deadline, which we'll talk about in another video. So if you're watching this, subscribe and come check out more good news about the Detroit Lions. There was a lot on this channel in the comments from Lions fans about how we were haters and idiots and whatever else. I never strayed from the point that I thought the Lions were a good football team this year, and we're going to win the division. They're even better than I thought. I know that they just got it handed to them by the Ravens, but like that happens to good teams. You go on a road game, and it's tough to play in Baltimore, especially once we get towards the end of the year. But like the Lions are still a team that can score points and playing good defense. If you tell me that they add a piece to the secondary to help out with the coverage a little bit, maybe if they get aggressive, they've made interdivision trades with the Vikings before. There's a couple players on that team, I think, that could come over and help put this Lions team over the top. And I would say that I could easily see this team going to an NFC Championship game in Philadelphia or San Francisco at the end of the year.
We're agreeing on this one too, Tony. I have them labeled as for reals. I do think that they're one more year of building and just developing as a team with a lot of young players on the roster away from being like as dominant as we're going to see this core or this group of Lions play. But like you're saying, they have all the pieces that it's going to take, especially down the stretch when we start playing some playoff football. They had the power run game with David Montgomery and this offensive line. They have the weapons on offense to score in a bunch of different ways. They can ram it down your throat. They can get flashy and send the running backs out wide with Jahmyr Gibbs and run screens and creative stuff, getting them in space. And then they have the receivers to stretch the field as well. Jameson Williams is healthy and rocking. They got someone that can run those 9 routes, pull the safeties away for Amon-Ra to eat up and run routes in the middle of the field. I mean, you have everything on offense and so many weapons and ways to score a bunch of points. It's going to be fun. We've seen the Lions do it now for a couple of years, so we can trust that offense is going to score despite getting blown out. And on the defense side of the ball, just specifically the way the D-line has played this year gives them a hell of more of a shot than in previous years when they've been trying to make this breakout happen. I know they missed the playoffs by what, like that last game, right? Oh, no, they didn't make the playoffs by a tiebreaker last year.
Yeah, they beat the Packers in that great Sunday night football game that didn't mean anything because it had already been decided. So
right there, that defensive line to me is the difference between missing the playoffs due to tiebreaker or even being a 7 seed, 6 seed to winning the division possibly this year, most likely.
Yeah. You bring a pass rusher in, bring somebody in the secondary, and all of a sudden the defense, I think, can take another little jump there. They tackle well. They seem to be pretty opportunistic on that side of the ball. Aaron Glenn's done a fantastic job. And I hope he gets some head coaching interviews this offseason.
You got some grit. Baby. All right, this one's easy, Tony. Philadelphia Eagles. Frauds are for reals. For reals. For real. The one concern I have is the same concern I have about the Ravens. And the Ravens are doing a better job of it this year, but that you got to find a way to keep the quarterback healthy. Watching Jalen Hurts limp off the field, it's like this team could easily go the other direction if that injury is serious. Like if the knee is a problem and takes away. I like to see him running the football a little bit more, which is great. So it's really awesome. You know what I realized about Nick Sirianni? This is for all the Office fans out there, and a lot of people don't like him. If you watch The Office and you don't like Phil, like that's it. Like he is that character that's like a little bit weird and a little cocky about stuff that's like uncomfortable. Like I could see him like starting to do, a cappella just in the middle of nowhere, just like Phil does in The Office, where you're just like, what is happening right now? Like I'm saying the right name, right? I can't remember if it's Phil or if it's Andy.
Andy. Thank
Andy,
you.
right? I think Phil might be one of the warehouse characters or something.
Yes. No. It's Andy.
This will never happen again, by the way. I want to note this in MJT football history. Yeah. Mike corrected Tony on a TV show or movie reference. I just want to note that moment, save it in the history books, put it into the MJT Football Hall of Fame.
Yes, you corrected me on this. You got this one. Ed Helms' character. He's Phil in The Hangover.
Yeah. And he does similar style comedy in The Hangover, just a little bit more vulgar.
Yeah. So Andy and The Office is one of my favorite shows. I dropped the ball on this one, and we've now wasted way too much time. But he's Andy from The Office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole roundabout point is Eagles are for reals, as we're saying. That is the one concern. I'm with you. I think they're the most stacked team in the league right now. When you talk about the amount of talent on offense, the amount of talent on defense, and probably most importantly in the NFL, depth. I mean, they're just deep. They have starting caliber guys at the third spots at a lot of positions on their depth chart, and they're staying aggressive, Tony. They're saying, hey, we can improve this team. Let's figure out the way to improve this team. They just call up Tennessee Titans real quick and say, hey, can we have another one of your star players, please? Send him over.
Did they pull that trade off?
Yep. Kevin Byard is now a Philadelphia Eagle.
It's fucking wild.
And all they're giving up is Terrell Edmonds, a guy who had played like 9 snaps this year for them. Or maybe it was more than that because of special teams, but 9 snaps as a starter on defense.
It's a player-for-player trade? There's no picks?
5th and 6th round picks also.
Okay.
So it's three asset package. 5th round pick, 6th round pick, safety Terrell Edmonds for Kevin Byard from the Titans.
Yeah, it's good. I think that the Titans, this trade can't be any worse than A.J. Brown going to the Eagles. I mean, they already gave them.
They traded Treylon Burks for A.J. Brown straight up pretty much.
Yeah, I sent you that stat that just blew my mind where A.J. Brown has more receiving yards this season than the wide receiver room for the Tennessee Titans. And I was like, that's not a real stat. Then you start looking at it and you're like, oh, it is. It's real.
And they have DeAndre Hopkins. They have guys that could definitely get open. But yeah, moral of the story, this Eagles team is for real. And right now, I think they're the best team in football, in my opinion. And they haven't even played their best football, in my opinion, as well. Like, it could get even better.
Yeah, I don't think they're the best team in football, but I hear you.
Well, let's keep this rolling. Buffalo Bills. For reals? Contending for the AFC or frauds?
I keep flipping back and forth because when you look at their schedule and another team we're going to talk about here in a minute, I keep going, these schedules are brutal. Both the Dolphins and the Bills schedules are really tough. Which team do I think is going to get the home field playoff game? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go with the Dolphins. Like, it just feels a little bit better than the Bills. And I'm going to say for this exercise, frauds. I still think the Bills make the playoffs in the AFC. It's been not nearly as dominant as we all project. We got to stop doing this bullshit too. Like, there's 15 teams that could make the playoffs in the AFC this year. It's like, no, there's not. It always shakes out to where there's like 7 good football teams that deserve to make it. So I still think they're there. But if you ask me, do I think they're better than the Dolphins, even though they beat the Dolphins this year? I don't really think they're better than the Dolphins. And the other 3 teams that I could see from the AFC, I don't think they're.
Well, I think it's because that team that played the Dolphins on that day, Tony, was for reals. They were contenders, but there's been some injuries on this defensive side of the ball. And for whatever reason, I don't know why this happens with Buffalo. Is this like a mentality thing? Is this coaching? Is it Josh Allen? Is it the mentality of the defense? Like, what is it that causes the Buffalo Bills to play down to all their opponents? Like, it seems like they very rarely just go out and have no doubt victories over teams that they should be, other than the Las Vegas Raiders, of course. But like the New York Jets a few weeks ago, obviously got upset by them. The New York Giants almost got upset by them. Probably should have gotten upset by them. 1 yard line. 2 times the Giants failed and they lost by 5 points, I believe. Jacksonville Jaguars. Not even just this version of the Jaguars, Tony. Remember a couple of years ago? That like 9-6 game they had with the Jaguars in the middle of like the hottest the Buffalo Bills had been. Like, Josh Allen was just starting to explode and really establish himself as an unstoppable force. And then out of nowhere, 9-6, they lose to the freaking Jaguars in the middle of the season. Patriots, obviously, this last week, they just never consistently dominate. They never kind of put that on tape. But on the same breath, I want to say that team a few weeks ago, before some of the injuries on defense started to stack up, was for reals, because they also play up to opponents. When they play a really good team, Buffalo locks in and we see a good game, win or lose. I'm going to label them as frauds for now. And if the defense gets healthy again, I don't know what Matt Milano's status is to return this year. Is he out for the season? He's coming back on the
he's out. Trey White's out. Daquan Jones
Yeah,
is
he's out
out.
for the season.
Like they're really beat up. We're gonna talk about them. At least I am when we talk about trade deadline stuff later. I need to apologize because I completely dropped the ball. I said first of all I called him Phil, and then I said Phil was the name of Ed Helms' character in Hangover. It's not. Phil is Bradley Cooper. His name is Stu. I got 0 of that right. I wish we could delete this. We're not going to because I'm not going to ask Mike to edit any of this shit out. But just know that I am severely hungover from the Chargers season ending, and I'm just not on my game.
Okay, it's week freaking. We played 6 games, Tony. There's 10 to go. Don't give up on the Chargers this quickly. They're not even in this segment because I wanted to respect our audience, respect our fans, and not be completely biased and include them in this. But we'll talk about that. We're talking about that in another segment this week.
We can't even make this made up segment with 2 bozos talking about football. Like,
just stay tuned. We're gonna talk about the Chargers. I think Bills defense, if they can somehow recover, they're for reals. But for now, I'm gonna label them as frauds after that performance against New England, the worst offense in the league up until that point. And they dropped 30 on the Bills. All right. Seattle Seahawks, Tony. Very interested in your answer for this one. Frauds or for reals?
So this is the team that I'm going to squeak into the for reals.
Yes, me too.
Are you kidding me?
Me too. I got them as for reals.
And you know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going back. This is how off my game I am, Mike. I'm changing my opinion on the Cowboys. I'm going them as my 4 as for real, and I'm not going to the Seahawks. I can't have all the same opinions as you. That's not fun. But I was just going back and forth between the two, and I thought for sure you were going to take the Cowboys and not be for reals on the Seahawks. So based on that, this is not an exact science. I'm going to say that they're fraudulent for reals with the Cowboys.
You know what's crazy, Tony, is all the Cowboys fans already turned this shit off. Like, no Cowboys fans are still tuned in. The second that we called them frauds, they all turned it off, and now you've switched, and you've gone to their side, and they aren't even here to see it.
Well, good. When you edit the shorter clip of this, then you can come back to me saying, "Yeah, oh wait,
maybe I should move Seattle's to the beginning." Like,
this guy is such a bird brain. Shout out to my grandma. That's what she used to call me when I was having moments like this. It's just the Seahawks. The one thing that I was like, that made me go back and forth was Geno. Like, I think that Geno's been playing kind of bad, but I don't think that's the same Geno. Like, people are giving up on him. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think this offense will start get rolling a little bit, and the defense consistently gets better. The Uchenna Nwosu loss, that was a big one.
It's big. Yeah, and I think Seattle should be a team that's active on the trade market right here. If they want to add an edge piece, there's a few out there that have been floated around as names that may be available for trade. They should think about throwing their names in the hat to replace Uchenna because the defense was finally picking up some stride. I mean, they've given up 10, 17, and 3 the last 3 weeks. That's very good. And the offense has still done enough. They've been productive with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf banged up. So I'm just imagining when they come back, the offense is probably going to get back to the same level it's been at. And if the defense continues to play like this, they're real contenders down the stretch of the season. I think that they should have won that Cincinnati game. And yes, it was the Seattle Seahawks mistakes in the red zone that kept them from winning the game. So the Bengals deserve the win. The Seahawks deserve the L. But if that game is flipped, Seattle is the 1 seed right now in the NFC, or tied for it at least. I would be very excited if that was the case because obviously we hyped the Seattle Seahawks up going into the year, and that one loss in week 1 kind of gave it like a sour taste in our mouths. But since then, Seattle's been really good.
Yeah, you got to give up that one to the Bengals defensive line. Lou Anarumo and Hendricks and Hubbard, DJ Reader, like the D-line made plays at the end of the game, got a lot of pressure and made it really tough on that. Geno still should have cashed it in. Bottom line.
He should have. All right, Baltimore Ravens. You already know I'm labeling this team for reals. After what they did to the Lions, especially, it kind of just justified my original opinion on the Ravens. They should be undefeated. They should be looking like the best or one of the best teams in football right now. They have 2 losses on their record that were self-inflicted, but what we saw this last week, if that team shows up for the rest of the year, they probably won't lose another game. And if that team shows up into the playoffs, they are a scary team, especially if they win their division and are the home team. But what do you think about the Baltimore Ravens? For reals or frauds?
For reals. Like double, triple for reals. And here's the thing that I missed on. I looked at their defense at the beginning of the year and I was like, I just don't see how they can cover. You got injuries in the preseason, and just how can they make this work? And their defense is outstanding. They brought in the D coordinator from Michigan who was there with the brother, Harbaugh. He's done a fantastic job. And Roquan Smith is becoming like one of the funnest people to listen to in pregame. Just an old school shit talker. Give that man a microphone, everybody before a game, and just listen to the stuff that he says. You're like, oh yeah, I remember when guys used to talk like this before games. This is great.
And he's kind of brought Patrick Queen back to life. There's like a little stint there right before they made the trade for Roquan where people were questioning, like, what's going on with Patrick Queen? He's struggling in coverage. He's not filling the gaps, and he's not playing like the athletic freak that he is in run defense. And what is the disconnect that's happening here? And the entire Ravens defense, honestly, wasn't as dominant as it's been in previous years, last year. But it seems like Patrick Queen has found that. And that's what also is a lot of fun to watch about this Ravens defense. It's not even pretty. They're just going out and trying to kick your ass. They're just going out and trying to beat people up. And that's a lot of fun, especially when you look on the offensive side of the ball. They're so flashy, right? It's the complete opposite. They're this, they're still run first, but there's a lot of misdirection. There's a lot of Lamar, just crazy plays that quarterbacks aren't supposed to be able to make. It was a lot of fun. There was a play in this Lions game. I don't know if you saw the highlight. Lamar like rolls right, jukes a guy out, and then while running towards the line of scrimmage, jumps up and throws a touchdown pass over 2 guys about to crush. Like, it's insane. It's a ton of fun to watch. This is a team also with how healthy they've been to this point. Knock on wood. It doesn't happen very often for the Ravens. That may be a team that wants to kind of push the chips in a little bit and acquire a rental player or, someone that they're going to sign for the long term, and then obviously one of their young players probably loses that chance at a contract. I'm thinking edge rusher. I'm also thinking maybe they get a little risky, throw another receiver into the mix or maybe even a running back. It's not really like the right time. There's not the right guys on the market that makes sense for the Ravens at running back and receiver. I'm kind of just like forcing that. But definitely on the defense side of the ball, you add like another edge rusher, a really solid pass rusher to this defense, it's going to go to the next level.
I disagree with the running back situation for them. I wouldn't throw a receiver in. I'm going to give a shout out to Matabike, defensive lineman for them, who is playing phenomenal. Every time I watch the Ravens game, I'm like, damn, this guy's just constantly getting pressure and making plays and really crushing the inside. And Jadeveon Clowney, who some people accuse him of quitting on the Browns, is maybe having his best season year 10 or whatever in the NFL. Like, looks really good.
Wearing number 10 too. He's wearing all kinds of different numbers. But yeah, Ravens, man, they look legit. Just hope that this team stays healthy. Hope that number 8 stays healthy, most importantly. And let's see where they can go. And we're probably going to get an exciting game in the playoffs between the Ravens and Bills, or the Ravens and Chiefs, or the Ravens and fill in the blank. Great AFC team. Jaguars. All right, Tony. Yeah, Jaguars or this team. Miami Dolphins coming off of a loss here against Philadelphia Eagles. For reals or frauds, Tony?
I'm putting them as the for reals. The 4th team sort of in the AFC that I could see playing in that championship game. I think they're going to find a way to get a home playoff game. They have a brutal part of their schedule coming up, but when you watch them play against the Eagles team, how many teams are going to be able to be that physical and that successful up front to be able to slow it down? This was a tie game after the pick 6. The offense had a little bit of trouble getting it rolling there, but Mike McDaniel seems to push the right buttons. And the most important thing is keeping Tua upright. And they've been successful at that so far. And I think if they can keep that going, Tua is going to continue to prove that he deserves a contract extension and that the Dolphins can really be a force in the AFC for years to come.
I have them as frauds, Tony. I don't know. I just feel like the defense is 1 year away. They need one more offseason, add maybe another few pieces, and just get some more time running the defense with Vic Fangio. It's the same defense that we're seeing the Chargers struggle to kind of pick up. Maybe Jalen Ramsey helps that when he gets back out there, and if the defense starts to look a lot better when he is out there against good competition, I probably will be leaning more towards for reals for the Dolphins. And then the O-line is held up so far, but I just look at that depth chart, and they're just still so thin at that position down the stretch of the year. It could get ugly if they don't find someone to step up to fill in certain spots if they do have any injuries. I mean, every team's O-line loses a player here or there throughout the year, but it's so close. It's like right on the fence. Kind of like have to decide, I guess, between the Bills and Dolphins. I'm putting them both as frauds with the chance to be for reals later in the year in this made-up segment, like you said earlier. San Francisco 49ers. Frauds or for reals, Tony? They're coming off back-to-back losses. First two of Brock's career, I believe.
Yeah, they're for reals. This is this is the point where Kyle Shanahan has to like really go back in and get confidence back in everybody. And I don't really necessarily think the Niners have lost confidence. And they lost to a Vikings team that is good. And they have the defensive coach who is willing enough to stick with a game plan, which is what you need against this team, right? Especially without Trent Williams last night. They said, "Oh, we're not gonna relax on pressure just because they still have George Kittle and Ayuk out here, and Jennings is a good player. Like they can hit Ray McLeod." I don't know the status of Danny Gray, a guy they drafted last year, but I keep waiting to see like why aren't they getting him out there and using his speed and finding different ways to be unique? Maybe he's injured. I don't know. Or maybe he's just not proven that he can be on the field and be trusted. The defense is still really good. They're a little banged up, but this is a team that come the end of the season is going to be right there with the Eagles.
I'm with you. I think that they're for reals as well. We've agreed a lot on this show, which doesn't happen very often on this show, but they just need to be healthy. And I think that, like you're saying, Shanahan needs to put that confidence back into the team. He just needs to keep making it easy. To this point, they've just done a great job at using everyone and getting everyone the ball and getting everyone involved that no defense can really key in on anything specific to try and slow them down. If you slow down the receivers out wide, they've got the tight end over the middle. If you slow down the tight end and the receivers out wide, they got the running back coming out the backfield. Stuff like, I texted you and Joe about it, they caught San Fran. They caught Minnesota last night in a cover zero blitz against a backfield that had, I think, two running backs in it standing next to Purdy. You cannot run cover zero blitz with Christian McCaffrey standing in the backfield because that is the easiest shit to just dump it out to him. And it's one-on-one. One guy has to try and tackle Christian McCaffrey in open space. Otherwise, it's a touchdown from anywhere in the friggin' field. That kind of stuff is what the Niners have always done for every quarterback they've had over the last stint of time where Mike Shanahan's gotten this team to the level that it's at. They got to get back to that. They got to keep just doing stuff like that. Like you said, the Vikings are an underrated team, a team that can score. That was key for them. Jordan Addison having a coming out party against San Francisco defense. It's not a loss that you look at and go, this is an awful loss. Our season is doomed. Honestly, the loss a couple weeks ago is uglier than that loss.
Yeah, I thought the loss to the Browns was a little scarier because they got out physicaled, which is like that's not what you see the 49ers do. And they still had a chance to kick a game-winning field goal at the end of the game.
All right, and last one. I'm sure the entire audience has been waiting the entire show for this one moment, Tony. Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
For real, right?
Did we do Jaguars? No?
Oh, we didn't do Jaguars. Let's do Jaguars first. Jags.
Jags.
Frauds or for reals?
For real.
For real?
Yeah. Jaguars are for real. Their defense is playing a lot better, and another team at the deadline that could make small move, tweak here or there, maybe a big splash. Maybe they go get, spoiler alert for that show, Pat Surtain, and add a corner, add a piece that can be part of the defense for years to come. Take advantage of a team that's rebuilding and trying to get draft picks. But they're just really good. The run game is clicking. Doug Peterson is an excellent hire and coach for Trevor Lawrence, for the organization, for everything. And I think that the Duval fans really, really rally. So, for real.
Doug Pearson's one of my favorite coaches ever, honestly, Tony, other than that one stain of tanking that one game on purpose. But yeah, I think it's another team I'd be on the fence with, but I'll say the Jags are for real as well. I had them as the number 1 seed going through the season. They're right there in contention for that. Yes, they've had some games where it's been head scratching, but division rivalry games are always like that. It's not going to be perfect every single season. I think they're definitely catching their stride in the run game with Travis Etienne. He is taking the step this year to the next level of running back. We'll see what his stats look like at the end of the year and how he does throughout the rest of the season. But Etienne is looking like a workhorse back, which is exciting to see for Jaguars fans. So I'll go for reals as well on the Jaguars, but it's not like solidified. Just because I haven't seen Trevor Lawrence dominate the way I expected. That's really what it is. And it's not that he's playing bad. It's just my own perception of him is I'm expecting him to be an elite quarterback, and we haven't quite seen that level of dominance game after game after game yet. But I think it could come.
If he does take that step, Mike, this team is going to be outrageous.
They're going to be phenomenal, and they're super young too. So they got years. They got some train tracks to build on and run on. All right, now let's go to the team everyone's been waiting for. The for reals defending champions, Kansas City Chiefs. I can't say that they're not. Defense is balling out. I mean, we just saw with the Chargers. The Chargers were putting up an effort, man. They were trying, but some halftime adjustments, and it went from the floodgates kind of being open for the Chargers offense, but really just kind of normal back and forth with the Chiefs defense we're used to seeing from them, to shut down whatever halftime adjustments Spagnuolo made. I haven't gotten a chance to watch the film. Probably won't because I don't want to. And then what's scary, the offense had 500 yards in this game. And if the offense starts to click, what's going to beat this team?
Well, the sad thing is they had like 400 at halftime. So in the second half, the Chargers defense actually showed up, but it was too late. The offense couldn't do anything. It was like, 3 and out, interception, 3 and out, 3 and out. Like, I can't even fucking do this right now. But the Chiefs are the best team in football because they are winning games, and they have like 2 more levels to get to, which I have no doubt that they will eventually get there, right? Where it's like the run game will take another step because that's what Andy Reid does. And then the offense will take another step, which we started to see with Rashee Rice in the last game, and MVS having his sporadic, big time performance, and Travis Kelce just continuing to be one of the all-time greats. So yeah, they're there. They're in my head, they're for real. In my heart, they're frauds. It doesn't make any sense because my heart wants them to be fraudulent, but they're not.
Well, they're frauds, Tony, because the NFL is rigging all these games because of Taylor Swift. They want the Taylor Swifties to become Chiefs fans. They basically hit their limit, and they went, how can we get more customers? The only possible ways is to go international. We're a couple years away from that. So what's the other option? Let's try and attract the Swifties. Travis Kelce, you are now dating Taylor Swift.
I mean, that
Swifties comes after like international, but
yeah. So the NFL is like, it's a multi-billion-dollar organization. They could offer her a B.
Exactly.
Part of the script.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And it's a win-win situation. It's a win for her brand as well. Like, she's not losing out by bandwagoning the Kansas City Chiefs. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't really care. Like, there's a lot of people out there that seem to have like strong opinions about it.
Really upset, yeah, over some stupid shit like this.
I don't care one way or the other.
I just want to. I'm not gonna go down that road. I was gonna talk about Jackson Mahomes' case, see what Swift's thoughts are on that, but we'll end the show here at that before we start going down a rabbit hole here. Tony Tucker, NFL Mike here, representing MJT Football. Joe will be with us later on in the week. If you guys are Raiders fans and you're looking for him, just make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you can be here every time we upload or go live, and like the video. That helps us out a ton in the algorithm. Comment who you think are for reals, and who you think are frauds below. Tony, anything else before I sign us out of here and hit the button?
For real. End this shit.